Oh, we're live. And we're live. Are we live? We are. Sorry, guys, we are live. This is Mark Goldberg. Oh, look at those lines from the light. We're gonna move. We're gonna do this together. In the background, that is my dearly departed kitty cat Jupiter. Longtime fans of the channel will recognize him. Anyway, guys, let's pretend like it just happened just now. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Mark Goldberg, and this is Mark Vlogs Watches. Here we are at Rebelstream number 12. You're going to have to forgive me for not having Rebelstreamed in most of a week. But let me tell you what happened here, guys. First off, I have been on deadline for a new book, and my third book. As you know, I am the co-author of Let Dogs Be Dogs and also The Art of Training Your Dog. Both co-authored with the monks of New Skeet. If you'd like to support the channel, go ahead and, get my book. You can get it on Amazon, Audible. You can get it anywhere. Okay, let's see. And, but my third book with the monks has been in process since like right before COVID. And then what happened was we needed a massive, well, I'm not the only person who got messed up by COVID, but what happened to my third book was that we had to get like a massive extension on it because we needed to do a bunch of travel in order to write and photograph the book. And then, of course, we couldn't travel. And anyway, long story short, what can I tell you guys? The book came due. And something like 6 or 8 months ago, we realized, crap, we have to write a book. So we got busy and we started writing a book. And, if you've never been through the process, most people have not. Sounds easy, sounds fun, sounds like, it would be sexy and exciting, but it is an incredible amount of work. And but it's like 90, it's this close to done. Sending the manuscript off to the publisher this week. Woof. So but I've been obsessive about the book. And then, so that explains everything. Guys, let me have a quick look at who's in the room, say a couple hellos, and then we will chit chat about the topic tonight, which are, of course, your questions about watches, the watch community, Rolex, but I'm going to talk to you about what I'm wearing right now. We'll do a quick fist watch check. Fooled you. It's on the other one. But it's not a Rolex, and we'll talk about why I'm not wearing Rolex hardly at all anymore. Okay. And by the way, if you're watching this not live on YouTube, but posted up later on YouTube, and you want to just skip right to the watch talk, just jump ahead 5 minutes, and you will be fine. So my point of view, primero, I heart sushi, fistos, respectos. Niner, yeah, buddy, Inland Watch Reviews, as always. Hello, Mark. Hello, sir. Jack Frost, educating Selena, not first. Craig Shit, as always. Good to see you as well, my friend. Thurston Howell III, not a ginger man, but a Marianne man. Also good to see you. Mark, where you been? Well, I just got through explaining that. I was on deadline with a book, which I have just about finished now. So thank God. I'm one of these people. I get like super obsessive about whatever I'm involved in. And when it's YouTube, it's enjoyable because I'm just cranking out tons of content, but I have been dissuaded from YouTube. Oh, also, I have the free version of StreamYard, and I got an email from StreamYard that said, slow down, back the truck up. You're running out of hours. And I don't know about you guys, but I have subscriptions to every kind of like service in the world. Music, video, this, that, the other. And I thought, if I can avoid a subscription to StreamYard, so much the better. Anyway, Valen Greymoon, as always, Foist, Fistos, Respectos. Enjoying the stream line here. Thank you, Lewis. Always glad to have you here. Sounds miserable, the writing of the book, perhaps you're referring to. And no, it's not miserable. It's just, I don't know about you guys, but actually, I think probably we're fellow travelers in the following way. Whatever I get involved in, I become completely obsessive about. So if it's wristwatches, I'm like, poof, all in. If it's YouTube videos, I'm all in. I'm making 3-4 videos a week. If it's a book, I'm dreaming about that freaking book. I wake up early. I am not a morning person, guys. I for the most part, have my life arranged as an entrepreneur, a business owner. I mean, the dogs don't care what time you train them. So I have my life arranged in such a way as I do not have to be up early. And when I'm not writing a book, I am not. But when I'm writing a book, my body clock changes. Everything changes. Junior Johnson upvoted. Thanks. By the way, guys, do what Junior did. Hit the thumbs up button. And also, if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, you should. I swear to God, I'm going to start making more short form videos, nor normal uploads. But so join me for that and subscribe. Also hit the that little bell icon, then you'll know when I'm coming on. Because sometimes it's just when the spirit strikes me, like tonight. In the live chat, YouTube slow tonight. I needed this. Miles on tube. Happy to be here. Glad to be with you. Rancher. Oh, Rancher. I'm glad you're here, Rancher. Look, I'm not gonna be on too long, Rancher, but let me throw the link up there. So Clydesy, there's the link. Join me, won't you? And if any of you would like to join me as well, if you're not entirely crazy or a troll, feel free to click in and maybe I'll be able to get you on the air. Stickergate Rancher, indeed, that is our Clydesy. What is your view of the Rolex day date 18038? Well, I don't know which one that is, but given that it is a 5-digit, I'm going to guess, I don't know, dude, you got to help me out a little bit there. But at the end of the day, that's based on its number of digits, is going to be a 36, a 40, a 41 millimeter, which means it's good. It's modern, which means that reference is a fairly modern, discontinued now, I'm sure, but reasonably modern. So what that means, it's going to be double quick set, meaning you can set the day and the date fairly quickly. So what do I think of it? This is amazing. But the dial configuration, right? So which metal, which dial, that is what all day dates, whether I like them or not, are controlled by the, mostly by the dial. They're all precious metal. You got white gold, rose gold, yellow gold, platinum, but it's really all about the dial on the day date. My point of view, crime is so crazy, I'm thinking of getting an Apple Watch and putting all my watches in the bank. I would, well, there's a couple you can keep out. Let's do the quick fist watch check right now. And guys, I am wearing the Omega SMP 42 millimeter. And I'm wearing a whole lot of watches that aren't Rolex right now. So I think there's a lot of stuff you can wear. Rolex, not among them. Clyde, do you even have any Rolex left? You got the rare birds. What do you got? Still?
I've got the rare birds. I've got the semi bubble back. I know I hate it. I know you hate it when I talk with my semi. And then I've got this Turnograph 1625.
Yeah. So I feel like the vintagey stuff, with the exception of the GMTs, are not so theft.
Here's the thing, though. I would feel self-conscious about wearing anything except the Rolex 1530. I think if I put the 1530 on, no one would even look twice at it.
Yeah, you're probably right. But I mean, I think if you wear any Rolex GMT, it's such an iconic form factor, just the dial bezel configuration alone. I think the new stuff is far more visible. People are going to clock your watch if you're wearing modern stuff. You get into the 4-digit references, probably not. You get into the 5-digit references, kind of depends on which one.
But I'm trying to watch my clock.
Yeah, you do not want your watch clocked in public. Somebody asked, what is my shirt saying? It says, I'm silently judging your dog's behavior, which actually I'm not. To be honest with you, I don't really care about your dog's behavior unless you hire me to fix it.
Right.
But a client got me this, so it's kind of cute. And I was out of laundry. Already seeing stories about what watch Charles has been wearing around. Well, I haven't, so tell us. Niner, what is Charles wearing? I know.
Yeah, the Parmigiani, I know that.
Did he? Also, the Queen had an Omega, and so did actually. Didn't
Prince
Diana
Harry-
give William an Omega that he wears?
he had a Seamaster 30
Hmm.
mid-size quartz because Diana gave it to him.
I see. Yeah, nice. I approve.
Very
Cartier. Yes.
Prince Harry has a Polar Explorer.
Who?
Prince Harry, the ginger,
Yeah, no, Polar Explorer is nice. I mean, the 40 or the 42, the new one or the old one?
the 40.
Yeah, the old one. All right. Well, I guess when you're that wealthy, it doesn't really matter what you wear. You're not trying to prove anything. Myself, I want the new one. Although I had it and I sold it. Cartier blue PVD bezel, what you're thinking was released earlier this year. That's not quite enough information for me because there's so many different Cartier
Right.
models. Like I don't know it by its bezel. I know it by the model. But in general, I like the brand. I think it's the second best known watch brand in the universe. First being a Rolex, then the second one being Cartier, and Parmigiani Fleurier is somewhere right under Lasagna. Sorry, Clyde. Mark, are you wearing your Seamaster 300 lately? I got the green dial with the rubber band 5 days ago. Love it. Yeah, I am wearing it. I've got two of them. I've got this black one and I got the great white, the white one. But lately wearing the black. So my question for you, Miles, is does that green one look black in most light? Which I think the blue kind of does. Their green is not like Rolex green. It's not as bright. So it looked to me like it would be like black all the time. Did you see that green release, Clydesy? What'd you think?
Oh, Richard Della says that Prince Harry has the 42. I might be mistaken.
Nice. Well, then I have more respect for that. It's a newer, bolder, hardier, thicker, more modern watch.
Here.
Well, so here we are. Charles been wearing the Parmigiani Fleurier chronograph. Don't you have one, Clyde, or didn't you? Don't you?
I have a Parmigiani Fleurier, but it's not a chronograph. It is a Kalpa Hebdomadaire.
Oh, well, goodness. Well, look at that. You and Bonnie Prince Charlie, King Charlie, now wearing, the same brand. Well, you got something to bond with him over, Clyde.
Well, no, actually, I've got something to top Minotaurs with.
Your sovereign has a Parmigiani.
Mm-hmm. Just got a 1675 from 69. I love it. Very nice. Very, very nice. Bud the Stud said his AD's been stalling on him. Could Mark Goldberg be Wrangler of the year 2022? I don't know. What did I get? I don't think I bought a watch yet this year. No, I didn't. Well, not a Rolex. I have bought a variety of shitters this year.
I sent you a Twitter.
Yes.
On the picture, the iMessage.
But let me think. What am I in line for? Well, the only thing I'm in line for a lot of things, but I think my AD is likely to try and my AD will put me in line for one watch at a time. Unlike your AD, once in a while, Clyde, your AD will just call you and surprise you. Hey, want a Starbucks? And you're like, I'm busy. No, I still haven't forgiven you for that one. But my AD will just diligently work to get me the first watch that I have requested, which is a Sprite. So I don't think I can possibly really get in line for anything else until they get me that Sprite. I don't know if that's going to happen in 2022. Here we are approaching the last quarter of the year. So you know what though? The Panda Clyde, I want to say they called me Christmas.
I seem to remember that. It was like, very end of the year.
Yeah, but I don't. It was 2 years ago. So Christmas a year and a half ago now. So boy, It would be nice. It'd be lovely timing if that Sprite comes through. And it's such a weird watch. I mean, there's no.
Oh, I got the call for it. Just know I turned it down.
Yeah, you would. It's an oddball watch, Clyde. If only they would have left, like the fact that the crown is on the wrong side. Okay, fine. That's. We understand what a left-hand drive is. It doesn't change the visual so radically.
Crown on the opposite side, and in the same year, Queen Elizabeth dies.
I know, right? Like, it sounds like a conspiracy to me. But then they moved the Cyclops to the wrong side also, and that was a completely unnecessary move. That's what makes it weird.
Yeah.
Super chat. Thurston Howell the third, $9.99. Please help me choose between a new bimetal root beer on Oyster. Ooh, wow. A brand new Sky Dweller white on Jubilee. Oh my God. And an OP41 Tiffany. All prices slightly below gray market. So they're not retail. They're gray market, Clyde, but slightly below gray market. What do you think?
Okay, Thurston Market. Thurston, you want us to cut your meat for you too?
They're incredibly different watches, but like let's just take it.
Which one do you like
better? Which one do you like better, Clyde? Let's take it from the personal perspective. Let's analyze it as an intellectual question. And why would we do that instead of offending him? Because he sent us $10 to do it. So let's try and do it. So what would go into your, critical analysis of these three options? Because man, these are three incredibly different watches.
Yeah.
See, he paid $10 for your opinion, Rancher. Like, help a brother out. I got ideas here. What do you think?
Well, he's in other words, he's wanting to play the collectability game. Fine.
Go ahead. You first. Let's just say this was you. Now, I know you're not the greatest Rolex fan, but put yourself in the shoes of someone who likes the brand. What would your considerations be?
I just like the root beer.
That is not a bad choice. So here's what I think.
It's not a high performer. It's not.
It kind of is, though. I mean, that's a really hard to get watch, Clyde.
Really? Even that is now? Jesus Christ.
All GMTs are hard to get, all of them. And that root beer is really popular. And that two-tone root beer, it's really popular. And I think it's because it's bimetal in rose gold. And I think there's not too many bimetal rose gold watches. So it's unique. And not only that, but after the Daytona, the GMT is like the next hardest to source Rolex in any configuration. So it's super hard to get. It's bimetal and rose gold. It's got that chocolatey brown, coconut brown dial. Yeah. Bezel, the lower portion of the bezel. So, but here's my thinking. They're all incredible watches. And I have owned some iteration of all of them. I have the OP41 Tiffany right now, but let me tell you what, as much as I like that watch, and it is a beautiful color, there's just no way around it. It's overrated. It's an overrated hype watch.
Every Rolex does.
Well, fair enough on the one hand. On the other hand, at least the other two have complications ranging from desirable up through impressive. So I'm going to say I would avoid the hype 41 unless, like me, you just sort of had your hearts, you were just shot by Cupid right in the eyeball for that Tiffany, which I was. But remember, I paid 17.9 for it. And if you're slightly below, if you're slightly below gray market on it, I assume that means you'd be getting it for 22, 23 right now. And no, because why? Because that puts you right in the same market for that root beer. And I think the root beer is like a far better watch. But
for the same money.
Yeah.
But yeah, boy, a Sky Dweller white dial though on Jubilee. That's
honestly, that's the money buy. That's the money shot right there, in my opinion. 400 moving parts, like 35 patents on that movement. On a Jubilee, it's going to be, kind of blingy. But so I guess my only question would be, Thurston, is what size is your wrist? Because if you're at least 6 3/4 to 7 inches in girth on your wrist, then I'm saying Sky Dweller. If you're like under 6 3/4, then it's going to be that root beer. That's my answer. 7 1/4. Thurston says 7 1/4. So go for the Sky Dweller. That's the same. That is what this wrist is right here, and I love that.
I'm going to say the Sky Dweller because quite frankly, that would, with all the excess parts, with the extra complicated movement, I think that would be the easiest one for the professor to turn into a makeshift radio using the components of the watch in coconuts.
Skydweller. Let's take a look at the peanut gallery is voting here. Skydweller, although the root beer is nice too, it is. It is. But the vast majority of people here are voting for the Skydweller. Now, you got your naysayers. The root beer more versatile, better size. I don't know if it's more versatile, but it is definitely a more benign size. The Rolex Rose Gold is beautiful, and it certainly is. So, what I would say is my first would be the Skydweller, but if you wind up with the root beer, I would say between those two, you flip a coin. Honestly, you can't go wrong. If I had to do it, if it was me personally, I'd get that root beer, and I'll tell you why. Because I had the Skydweller, so I sort of had the experience. If it was me, I would probably get the root beer. Hey, Mark, been watching your channel, new to the live chat. Thanks for all the insight. I agree. Gene from James and Sons got me my sub with no buying history. Great people. Oh, how nice. So yeah, the AD who is sourcing me the Sprite is in fact also James and Sons. I recommend them because they will treat you with dignity. They may not have what you want, but they will take you seriously. Build a relationship. That's what I say, and I like those people. They're just terrific to deal with. Dan says, hey, Mark and the Rancher.
Hey.
Even the Air Kings become overhyped.
Yep.
After holding MSRP. Yeah. The rare King. Things couldn't get worse, could they? Well.
Yeah, they can always get worse.
Clyde, ever the optimist. Clyde, things are getting better. Listen, this is going to vary model by model, but according to watchcharts.com, really good website for what's going on with an individual model and the overall market. The overall, just shoot an average on Rolex, and it's down 15% this year. And I think it was overblown by probably like 30%. So all these people making a big fuss about, oh my God, the Panda Daytona is falling through the floor. It's down from its high of around 55,000, but it's still triple retail, 35 grand, triple retail. That's, nobody's unhappy with triple retail. 21K for the root beer. Yeah. I mean,
dang.
It's probably like 14, I'm guessing, retail. So I don't think that's so crazy. And I think it's going to go up. Like this flood of the market is going to reverse ultimately. And these prices are going to inch back up. That's what I think. All right.
Hard to tell.
White gold Pepsi worth 40 after tax. Look, I don't know, but what I would do is I would go on watchchart.com and I would look that model up. I mean, it's a beautiful watch, but you can look it up on watchchart.com, and what it'll tell you is which ones are for sale right now, what have they been selling at, and then it'll divide it up between what are they going for off of the forums, what are they going for off of eBay, sold prices. Which listings are expiring without sales, and then what are the gray market used dealers actually selling them for. So you get to compare three metrics: eBay, forums, and gray market dealers. So that's a go-to website. I think it's much better to check pricing than Chrono 24, which is basically crazy asking prices for watches that most of those dealers, I don't think they even have them.
Yeah, but you should also look for find some deals, maybe approach some dealers in real life, but with the important proviso to not cross the forbidden zone.
All right, Clyde. Clyde with a Klingon, with a Klingon.
No. Planet of the Apes, dude.
Oh, but there was a forbidden zone in Star Trek too, and I know this because I just watched the. Did you know that the Wrath of Khan is having its 40th anniversary this year?
I can see that. I easily could see that.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, where has time gone? I was a young man when that
That's
damn
the
movie
neutral zone. That's the neutral zone.
Oh, and what did
Forbidden
you say?
zone. The forbidden zone is surrounded by like the
Fair
more or
point.
less the
Yeah.
scarecrows.
Well, is also the forbidden zone is when you shouldn't change your ETA movement, the date, unless it's the hands are pointing at 6:30, because the forbidden zone glide. Yeah, you don't want to look at Chrono 24 for values or estimates because, I mean, it's not bad for a quick glance, but a lot of the watches that are listed there are not necessarily even in the possession of the dealers. A lot of times they're trolling or chumming, in my opinion. They're just sort of throwing it out there, and then if they get a nibble, those guys have, they have a very healthy network of used watch dealers. So if a guy's got a nibble for watch X, Y, or Z at $25,000, he'll just quickly throw out a call to his brethren there to see if he can buy it for 20 and make a quick $5. And often they can, but not always. So sometimes you're getting a watch which is not the watch that's photographed right there on Chrono 24. And I don't like that at all. So I think Watch Charts is really analyzing multiple metrics for sales and giving you a much better analysis. Well, guys, the reason that I don't wear Rolex anymore is because I can wear this, and I don't think anybody's going to like knock me over the head and steal it. And I feel that most all of the Rolex watches are just too recognizable these days.
Yep.
The economy is in turmoil, Clyde, a little bit of turmoil, although for certain professions, that's not a bad thing. Like, how's crime these days, Clyde, a criminal attorney?
It does not pay.
Crime, well, we know that, but actually it does pay. It pays you rather well.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, with Parmigiani, Fleurier, Calpa
Calpa de Madeira.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly what I said. And so the worst things to get, I feel like Rolex crime has become sort of like the sexy, it's like the crime du jour. It's just too damn easy to do.
Oh yeah.
And so it's not what you would think, meaning people breaking into your house. It's a little bit more like you go to
a nice restaurant.
Yeah, a nice restaurant.
The maitre d'. And the maitre d', that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the bus boy, the maitre d', somebody clocks your watch, goes back to the back, makes a phone call. And when you come out, you're 2 blocks away heading for the parking garage for your car. And, 2 guys pull up on, on motorcycles, or a car pulls up and 4 guys, jump out of it. That's how that typically happens. So, and that is not just in London. It is not just in New York or LA. It's kind of everywhere now.
Right.
Sprite versus Cermet, going back and forth. Low key a GMT versus sub question. Well, I mean, again, it's highly personal. I know, Clyde, you're definitely not picking the Cermet because Clyde got offered one by his by your dealer, Clyde, but like you were too busy going out to lunch and you couldn't be bothered to go pick it up.
I'm too busy. Yeah.
I'm busy. Yeah, sell it to somebody else.
Oh well, who should I sell? Okay, never mind. Okay, now here's the next question.
Yes. What is the next?
Oh, well, the next statement. I'm sorry.
Well, we're not done with this one. So listen, if it was me, I would say it depends on what you currently have in the collection. If you don't have a Submariner, well, I'm more of a dive watch guy in general than a GMT guy. On the other hand, if you're like, I don't care about that, but you travel some, then the GMT would be the handier one. So I just feel like it's completely, listen, if you don't have, here's another way of looking at it. I don't think the Sprite would be a good first and only Rolex. I think the Sprite is good for somebody with 2 or 3 or more Rolexes, where you can get a weirdo just for the sake of getting weird. So if you've got 5 Rollies already, get the Sprite. If you got under 5, get the Cermet. There you go. This is what you wanted to jump at. Archie will be in the USA with his Rolex. We will be reporting on his movements live.
Well,
Archie, Rolex. Okay.
Have you noticed, though, he's now got growing extra hair, and he's combing them over the horns.
Clyde, you would have to watch him to notice, and I don't. So no, I have not noticed. Okay.
Here's the thing, though. Technically, if he does that in the United States, depending on the state, he might be violating concealed carry laws.
There we go.
The horns should be clearly and prominently displayed
As a deadly weapon. Richard Greenberg, that's why I'm wearing my Grand Seiko Snowflake. I don't feel safe wearing my Rolex watches. And it's the same with me. Here's the weird thing. I think I wore a gold Rolex, solid gold Rolex, to IHOP one day, where I think nobody would have known what it was. And if anything, if anybody looked at it even, which nobody did, but if anybody would look at a solid gold Rolex in IHOP, they're probably thinking it's a $40 Invicta.
Uh-huh.
But that same watch, if I would have gone to the Ritz-Carlton or somewhere like upscaley, it would have made me very nervous. So I think you're better off wearing Rolex to Denny's, guys, than you are wearing it out to the Ritz. That's just I don't. I'm not doing it anywhere, anymore either. Doesn't happen in Thailand or Vietnam, Johnny Lee says, and I believe you, Johnny. And here's why: I've been to both those places. And when people see a Rolex in either country, they just tend to assume that it's a fake because those are sold on every street corner for like, a couple thousand baht or dong in the case of Vietnam. I know you like that currency exchange rate on the dong, Clyde, but the just fakes are super prevalent in Southeast Asia because of proximity to China, where most of them get made. And you know what? Actually, I think they value more in Southeast Asia than Rolex because of its reputation for being faked there so much. It's like a really, really nice Seiko. So oddly, I think you're better off wearing Rolex in Thailand than Grand Seiko. But in reality, there's very, very little violent crime there. Very, very little. Rich Buddy wants to know what's a Sprite, Clyde. You want to tell him? Clyde's off streaming somewhere. Rich Buddy, the Sprite is the newest iteration of the GMT with the black bezel on the top, the green bezel on the bottom, and it's left-hand drive. They've moved the crown from the right to the left, and they've moved the Cyclops with the date also from the right to the left. So it's it's green and black, and they call it the Sprite. I thought they should have called it the Green Hornet or the Green Goblin, but anyway. It's the newest GMT, and it's upside down and backwards. Have to use a lot of caution wearing a Rolex. Tend to wear mine more with long sleeves. Yeah, well, that's a fair point. I mean, we're getting into where I live, Chicago area, Midwest. We're getting into the time of year when, in fact, we will be putting jackets on. I mean, it was like, I think today was a high of like 66, and it's getting down into the mid 50s at night already. So we're having a crispy fall all of a sudden. And I feel like, be able to wear a Rolex with a jacket, but kind of what's the point, right? How safe is it to wear a Rolex when you're overseas? It depends on where, right? If you're going to Asia, you're probably just fine.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, but I have one thing to add.
Yeah.
Now, if you're wearing with long sleeves, I think, though, if you're wearing a Hulk, you should probably wear with green sleeves.
Thank you, Clyde. Thank you for keeping it under copyright strike.
God, it's like God. It's like who did someone record their 4-year-old playing it? Hell, I could, yeah.
Of course, that Clyde on the recorder there with green sleeves.
Yes.
Whatever happened to Don Haynes? Donnie Haynes. Don's been very busy. Had some help.
Don. You can actually sing any song using his name. I challenge you to find one you can't use it to sing.
I'm going to try to not. But Don's dad passed away. His mom is Elsa. Poor Donnie. He's been really, really busy.
Well, and his mother's dying too. And
yeah.
It's everything I've been. He says so far, it's everything I've been promising.
Well, okay, let's go on. Let's move on to where is it safe to wear Rolex? It kind of depends. I would not go to any of the major cities in Europe wearing a Rolex now, but if you're going to Asia, I think you're okay. So that's
On the other hand,
to say about that.
On the other hand, if you're touring with the Rolex factory, you probably can wear your overseas.
Seiko SPB14. I have no idea what that is. And the upper echelon prospects. I mean, I think those are very nice. They're people attacking Seiko for going up market. Listen, I have a tuna that I spent like $1,500 on. The new tunas are expensive. All I can say is they make a nice watch, and no one put a gun to your head to make you to buy it. So Seiko, I think, is being very, very smart. While the Swiss watches are trying to all move up giant leaps. Okay.
Yes.
In other words, Patek is trying to move up to be like FP Journe, as though they're only making 30 of them a year. Rolex is moving up to Patek. Tudor is moving up to Rolex. Omega is vying to move up to Rolex. In the meantime, Seiko is saying, what about that middle market? They have the lowest end of the low covered. You know, they got $100 and $200 watches. They've got Grand Seiko in the $10,000 range, depending on which one. You know, but that $2,000 market has been untapped. So I just think they're smart.
Now, did you get the picture I sent you just now on iMessage?
I don't know. I got to look for I put my phone down. Oh, there it is. What have you done, Clyde?
It looked like you disappeared into Jupiter.
I did. What is it? Is it an IWC? What is this thing? Oh, the Longines. Well, I can't hardly show it, Clyde, but
I think they've got a new version of the Longines, Big Eye out, or Brown Eye, Blue Dial, and I think it caught my attention immediately. I think it's a great looking little watch.
Clyde, I would like to stare deeply into your winking brown eye, but basically, Longines has come out with a couple of very nice vintage-esque watches lately. I think they've
always had them. I think we're just finally starting to get around to notice them. But they just literally came out with that. And I was actually telling
there's a few vintage pieces that Longines come out with that look very nice. They're at least going back to the era of when they had good design, if not good movements. Yeah. Mike David, moved to New Zealand, wear what you want, when you want. And I'm sure that's entirely true. New Zealand comprised of 2 small islands. On one of them, you can walk from the East Coast to the West Coast in about 45 minutes. There are more sheep than people. And it is a beautiful, beautiful place. Although cost of living is not cheap in New Zealand, but it is very, very nice. Vale and Grayman correctly pointing out no one is going to mug you for a G-Shock. And if they did, that G-Shock will survive. You might not, but the G-Shock, of course, will, because it can take a licking. Australia safe? I mean, I would think so.
Well, unless you're a ladyboy or you're a waitress in a Vietnamese restaurant. A lower end Vietnamese restaurant.
That was an Archie reference, huh?
Oh yeah.
In New Zealand, I've been there a couple of times. I've been to Sydney, and I've been to Cairns and Port Douglas and Melbourne, but that's it. I feel safe in my daily travels wearing Rolex strictly because I drive an old car, don't dress well, and I believe people don't believe it to be real. Maybe.
Remember that life commercial about the electric car that was actually camouflaged for driving in New York or parking in New York City? Okay, you're talking like the first original Second Life.
Oh gosh, I remember that season. I'm old. That season, I think that show's like 50 years old now. It's insane. Listen, I think as we were talking about a little bit earlier, you are likely to get clocked for your watch where there are spotters, and the spotters are going to hang out more in areas where they have a reasonable expectation to see these things. So I think, like I said, I think you're safe at IHOP, Denny's, Waffle House. You're probably safer there than you are at the Ritz-Carlton.
Right. By the way, you actually used Rebel Alliance. Thank you.
I did. Sorry.
Thank you.
Been so close to adding a Grand Seiko, but I can't move past the Seiko name. Feels like moving backwards. So, Brian, I made a video years ago, and man, it got like 100,000 views and a lot of nasty comments where I said the exact same thing. And it was before I had one. I said in that video, I said something to the effect of Grand Seiko, much more Seiko, much less grand. But And that offended a lot of people because the acolytes of the collectors of Grand Seiko are really rabid, but I think they have a sort of like a second class, what do you call it? Inferiority complex. So I have a Grand Seiko diver. I recognize it as a fine piece of machinery. I think Zaratsu polishing is a marketing scam. It's no better than Rolex's machine polishing, but they make a nice watch, and they make a very nice watch, and they're in a pretty decent price point, so I think we're okay.
Well, see, I like dress Grand Seikos. The sport ones, I think besides having the Grand Seiko in the name, they're too close. The dials and layouts is too close to regular Seikos. I realize that they're, a step above in so many other ways, but
I agree. I mean, one of the things that they did that kind of won me over a little bit more was they stopped putting Seiko and then GS for Grand Seiko. And instead, I think what they've done is they spelled out Grand Seiko and they put the GS somewhere else. So in other words, they are distinguishing it more from their own brand. But for years and years, I said, why don't they do what Lexus and Toyota did? Lexus is a Toyota, but it is the luxury division of Toyota. And what they know is nobody wants to spend $70,000 on a Toyota Supremo. They want to buy a Lexus. So they just came up with a different name for it. Even Wilsdorf did that with Rolex and Tudor, right?
Well, unless of course we're talking about a Toyota SUV, and I think they actually are spending $70,000 for them.
Well, fair point. Yeah. Yes. What's that? The big one. What's that big one?
I don't know. I haven't really kept up with the big ones like you have. Wait, a Land Cruiser.
There you go. Yeah. He sold his 114. That's a modern no date sub. Right. And bought it's a Grand Seiko, and I don't know which one it is. I think it's a diver. And he could not be happier. It's a flat. You know what? The Grand Seiko diver is flashier than the no date sub. That's for sure. It's a little bigger too. Flashier and bigger. Well, Clydesy, we're coming up to 42 minutes. I think that's about all I got. I got to save some oomph here because I'm running out of live stream hours, and I don't reset until the 20th. So I got like a little over a week to go. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to call it. We're going to pronounce this one. Time of death, 7:32 Central Time. Thank you for joining me, Clyde. Appreciate you being here. Any final?
Thank you. Remember, boys and girls, today's word is horn over. Horn over.
Thanks for being with me, guys.